Hey guys, welcome back. For this weekend project, I'm making a bedside bench. For this project, you will need 6 1x4s and a sheet of 3/4 inch MDF. To kick off this project, I start by batch cutting my leg pieces. The first thing I do is set a stop block so that I can get repeatable cuts. This ensures that every single piece is exactly the same length so that you're not going to deal with a wobble at the end of the project, if you do everything right. So here are all of the pieces for the leg assembly, save the 2 long pieces, which I did cut, but that footage got corrupted, so I wasn't able to include that. And you can see this fully laid out. The next thing we need to do is move on to the dowel joinery. And dowel joinery is a very easy and very accurate way to join 2 pieces of wood. It takes the stress out of those glue ups at the end because everything is already aligned. Because if you take your time to get these dowels in the right places, it makes your life a lot easier. And you'll see this later, but gluing up is a breeze. The doweling jig you see me use is called the Aluminum Easy Dowel Joining Jig Kit from General Tools. And to be completely honest with you, I don't recommend this product. Accuracy is very important when it comes to dowel joinery, or any kind of joinery for that matter, and this product definitely lacked that aspect. The dowel jig that I do recommend is the PowerTech 3/8 inch dowel jig. This I found to be extremely accurate, and I wish that I had found this product before this project. And I will leave a link in the description to this one as well, so that you can pick one of those up if you're looking to do any dowel joinery yourself. Okay, once you have all of the dowel holes drilled, you can go ahead and start assembling the different leg structures. I start by applying a little bit of glue to each of the dowel holes and then putting in the dowels. Then you can go back, lather some glue on the other piece, and clamp them up together. After that's done, I move on to giving each piece a quick sanding at 220 grit. This is a lot easier to sand it now as opposed to when it's all glued up together. And this is what I was talking about earlier when I said that I had a lot of problems later on in the project because of that doweling jig, but this was nothing that a little block plane couldn't handle. And if you don't have a block plane like this, I highly recommend it. They're $15 at Home Depot, and you will use it on almost any woodworking project you do. Once all of those pieces are dried and sanded and flushed up, I move on to a mock fit. This is going to help me plan out where I'm going to be drilling the dowel holes to attach these different leg pieces together. And once you have that marked out, you can go ahead and drill those holes for the dowels. The next step in assembling this is to transfer those marks onto the opposing leg piece. So I use these pointed studs, and you actually insert them into the dowel holes that you just drilled. Then you can place the other piece on top of it, give it a little tap or apply some pressure, and it transfers that mark over. So using this method, I'm able to mark and drill out all of the opposing holes on the other piece so that I am ready for the final glue up. And what you see me doing here is inserting some pocket holes, and you'll see why later. That's to attach the top. With everything drilled out and ready to go, we are ready for the final assembly. So I put glue in each of the holes and insert dowel pegs into all of them. Then I can add some glue onto the other pieces and insert them onto those dowels. It is as simple as that. And this whole process is really quick. Like I said, this dowel joinery makes this step a breeze. It is fantastic. I will definitely be doing more dowel joinery in the future on all of my woodworking projects, so you can expect to see that in some future videos. Now that this is all assembled, I move on to cutting the top for the cushion. To do this, I use a circular saw and a straight edge. I'm using a level, but you can use whatever you have that's straight. It could be a leftover piece of sheet good, whether that's MDF, melamine, or plywood. Just make sure that what you're using is perfectly straight. With that done, I use that to square up the base, because at the end of a project, things often are a little bit off square. So I know that this is perfectly square, so if I clamp it to it before the glue dries, it'll dry the way I want it to. So next I lay the piece of MDF on top of the cushion and mark it so that I know where to cut. And I'm just using standard scissors here. Now, the upholstery on this project is really not that difficult, and you'll see exactly what I mean, because we're going to be using staples to attach the fabric to the seat. So during this project, the number one thing that I learned is to apply even pressure across the fabric as you're stapling. If one of the staples is a little bit too taut, and the other one next to it is too loose, it's going to lead to a wrinkle on the other side, and that just doesn't look very good. And to go through all this work to do bad upholstery is not quite worth it. So I recommend that apply even pressure across all of the different seams as you're going across and stapling it, and it's going to turn out much better for you. So after giving it a quick test run and making sure that it's solid, I can move on to the last couple tasks I have left. So I whip out my trusty block plane. I'm just using this again to even out these surfaces so that it can sit flush when I put the seat on. After that, I give it another quick sand at 220 grit, and the goal of this is just to make sure that I remove any of the excess glue squeeze out. That way when I go to stain, the wood can fully absorb the stain. The stain I'm using is called Sun Bleached by Varathane, and the way you apply this is you brush it on a very thick, heavy coat, give it about 5 minutes, and then wipe it off, and it leaves this really nice sun bleached look on your piece. So at this point, there really is only one thing left to do, and that is attach the top. So earlier when I showed myself drilling out those pocket holes, this is what that was for. And I drilled out a couple more on each of the side pieces just so that I had some more spots to hook it up into that. And that's what pocket holes are great for. It allows you to have a really strong joint that's completely hidden. And just like that, we can call this project done. This was potentially my favorite project to date. It challenged me in a lot of different ways. I got to try out Dowel Joiner, which I hadn't done before. And it's just a reminder that even if it's something you've never done or you're not comfortable with, just go for it. You can learn along the way. The breakdown of materials is I spent $40 on the Select Pine 1x3s. I spent about $10 for the stain, the glue, everything else, and the dowels. And I had some leftover 3/4 inch MDF that I used for the top, for the cushion, and also an old memory foam pad mattress topper that I used as well. So I only spent about $60. Oh, and the fabric was $9, so I only spent closer to $70. But if you had to go out and buy everything, it'd probably be around $120, $130. So it was a super fun, pretty cheap build, and for the price, it's an awesome bench. So that's it for this one. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.